Hey everybody, Stephen Joy here, back with another video. This is I did a quick look at the Hackmaster Hacklopedia of Beasts Volume 1. Said I'd be going through them all. So here's Hacklopedia of Beasts Volume 2, From Cats to Efreet. It's part of the Hackmaster game if you watch the first video. And I also went over the Hackmaster game a little bit. It's a game I really enjoy. So this is just another one of the monster manuals, if you like. And yeah, I thought I'd just do a quick look at it, just simply because it's not really part of the OGL, and so it might not be familiar to some people. But I think it's got some neat monsters in it. It's got some neat ideas that I like. I'm not going to go through the entire thing page by page. I think that's a copyright issue anyway. So, but I am just going to take a look at some monsters, and I think that these books, they're not in print anymore, but you can find them in stores and stuff. I'm not sure. I think they might be available on drive-thru. Not sure. But anyway, if you can get your hands on them, they're pretty awesome. You can incorporate these monsters into an OSR game or into a 3.5 or 3.0 D&D game really easily, or old first edition. I don't think it would take much modification. A little bit, definitely, but not much. So, yeah, just jump right into this. As you can see, it's 128 pages of monstery goodness. Lots of great artwork. I love the artwork in this series. It's very, very good. But like I say, it's not OGL, so the thing there... Ooh, that's a nice drawing, eh? The thing there is that, you know, it's good for your own private games, but you can't use any of these monsters in, say, a published... something that you wanted to publish or whatever. But, you know, I mean, so what? Okay, so here we go. The first one I want to look at is cave crickets. So this is a little bit... See, the thing with Hackmasters is it's supposed to be humorous, and so the monsters are humorous. That's one of the things I like about it, if you want to add some humor into your game. This is one thing interesting. I did a monster called... Just a minute here. Sorry, looking away. I didn't actually plan to show this, but I'll show it anyway. I did a monster some time ago. Oh, if I can find it. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. I did a monster called the Wandering Pit. And I like this because this kind of looks like a wandering cave, which I think that's an awesome idea. They call it the cave chameleon, so of course, you know, I mean, that's great too. The thing's gonna eat you, right, if you go inside of it. I wasn't gonna review this one, but it just reminded me of my wandering pit, and then I got thinking, you know, this would be a great monster to have a wandering cave. Now, I could see a wandering cave being a thing where you can go in and you can explore it, let's say, and then the cave moves. Say it moves around the mountain, moves around to the other side. Maybe it can move to a different mountain, all while you're inside it. So it could be quite a big cave, and let's say a party spends a day or two in there. The cave could maybe move a significant distance in that time, and so when the party comes out, they're in a totally different location. I think that would be kind of hilarious. All right, so anyway, one of the ones I was going to go into was cave crickets. Cave crickets. These are carnivorous crickets. They seem to be, they're quite large. It's hack factor 3, so they're pretty tough. You know, so, and they're medium to large, so 6 to 10 feet long. So in combat, anyone approaching within 20 feet of the carnivorous cave cricket will hear a pleasant chirping sound, which will grow louder each round until it is loud enough to drown out speech. This sound can normally be heard at ranges up to 900 yards and thus has a 4 in 10 chance of attracting other predators. Should a victim get within 10 feet, the insect will begin hopping and attacking. Sorry, I just think this would be so much fun to spring, no pun intended, to spring on a party. Okay, pun intended. Bad joke. They will use the fangs predominantly, but there is a 1 in 10 chance the crickets will kick an opponent for an additional 1 to 6 points of damage during a feeding frenzy. So one thing I noticed about this, and they don't mention it in here, but I was thinking that an interesting use of this monster would be that when it's being really loud and the party's close to it, obviously it's ready to attack. I don't think if you can't hear yourself talking, can you cast spells? Or maybe it's more difficult to cast spells. But I think if you can't hear yourself talking, which I don't think you would be able to by the description of this, I don't think you'd be able to cast spells around this thing, at least while it's chirping. I think that would be a very interesting way of approaching this monster. You know, just sort of as a challenge, you take magic spells off the table, at least initially, before the attack starts. Anyway, that's the first monster. Then, alright. Now, it's not all insects, of course, but I'm kind of focusing on a couple of insects here because they kind of caught my attention. So we've got carnivorous giant cockroaches. So the weakness of all cockroaches is bright light. A light spell can a light spell cast directly on a roach will blind it, while a continual light spell forces a morale check of -4. Roaches will not willingly enter bright light. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Brave roaches that do make their morale checks are 40% likely to attack the source of their discomfort. So the light spell is just as likely to cause an attack as be able to thwart an attack. That's kind of interesting. So it's got a hack factor of 6, so these are actually really tough. Let's see here. Size is medium, so 5 to 6 feet long. Their alignment is neutral, which makes sense. Armor class is 3, so these guys are fairly tough. So what I was thinking with these ones, what I would do is I would make them mounts. Just to really mess with the party. Yeah, because I could have now obviously if it's a private game, then I can just steal whatever I want. So I think I would have snotlings riding giant cockroaches. I think that's a good match. The cockroaches wouldn't eat the snotlings. The snotlings would enjoy the filth and everything. Now, snotlings are from Warhammer. Warhammer has nothing to do with Hackmaster. Hackmaster is not OGL, but it would all work and fit. You could easily make it all fit into D&D. Yeah, I was thinking that would be a great deal of fun. Giant cockroaches being ridden by warrior snotlings. Now, of course, there should be some sort of a chance that you get... well, here, I'll continue reading the combat. These large bugs have developed taste for flesh and hunt it actively. The creature hit by the mandible, 1 to 12 points of damage, yikes, must make a strength check to free itself. The roaches aren't picky about what they get where they get their meat, and once they have it, they will abandon battle to feast. Oh my god, these are terrible. Carnivorous roaches that are fed on a regular basis make excellent guards in dungeon settings. Oh my god, that is absolutely awesome. So you could actually, you know, the way I think that I would introduce this is I would have giant roaches for sale in a town and just have the players kind of run into it so they could actually purchase a giant cockroach. You think about that, that's got to be really fun. I think players would absolutely enjoy that. I know I would anyway, to have a giant cockroach. It's not big enough to ride, mind you, unless you're small. But just the same, that would be incredibly fun. Of course, players could probably capture their own and tame it and whatever, but that, I think, is a good introduction to be just to find it in a marketplace or something. I think something that's missing here is there should be some kind of disease element to it. I think I would try and work that in somehow, especially if there are snotlings riding on top of it. I know I'm sending some people off the rails here. What's he talking about snotlings? That's not D&D. Well, Well, I just, yeah, whatever. I'd use it. It's fun. All right, so here's something else I found interesting. I'm not going to cover this, but I found it interesting, was crabmen. So in a game called, I think it's called Yusin? I'm not sure. I'm just looking at my bookshelf right now. I have the book, but where, I have no idea. So anyway, it's a little indie D20 game. Really good game. I'll review it one day. I'll get around to it eventually. But anyway, it has crabmen in it. And so I was thinking if you needed crabmen, say, for a Swords and Wizardry or basic fantasy or whatever kind of game you're playing, you could also use these crabmen in it. They're only hack factor 1. Make a great race. But I'm not going to cover them because the one thing I'm interested in is the dire crane, which I think would be really fun. Now, I think that there would have to be some kind of perception check. Okay, now perception check is out of Rollmaster. As you can tell, I just I steal my rules from wherever the hell I want them. But anyway, I would have some sort of test to see if the party of heroes would be able to discern that this is a giant crane or not at a distance, because it would look like a normal crane. It's just that it would be sitting on a lake, but you might misjudge the size of the lake and think the cranes are natural, normal size and go down there, especially if you don't have anything for good perspective reference, something like that. Anyway, these guys are quite tough. Hack factor 5. I think hack factor pretty much is the same as what do you call it? CR in D&D, right? So anyway, quite tough. Lots of armor class 7, which isn't that bad, but damage through the roof, 2 to 12 damage. So I'll go over the combat here. A dire crane can pick up any man-sized or smaller opponent in its beak. On a successful hit, the creature can forgo the next round of attack and instead attempt to swallow a victim. Victims can avoid this fate and escape the bird's beak by making an open doors roll at -3. Victims in the process of being swallowed who inflict more than 5 points of damage to the creature internally are 25% likely to be spit out. So, yeah, 5 points of damage, that's pretty easy, right? Just about any kind of fighter character, low level, would be able to dole that out. Might be more of a challenge, say, for a wizard or a thief or something like that. Also, the beak of the dire crane is known to be extremely sharp. Victims who are spit out are 85% likely to be attacked immediately by the crane's stabbing beak for 2 to 12 points of damage. Okay, this thing's brutal. During battle, the dire crane reaches 7 feet or more. Oh my god. Okay. It also prefers to stand in at least 4 feet of water, which works to the crane's advantage in combat. Dire cranes can surprise an opponent 4 in 10 times if standing in water. Alright, and that's how I would do that. I would do the 4 in 10. Like, the reason it's probably surprising the party is they didn't realize it was a giant swan until they get really close to it. That makes sense to me, just from hiking and traveling through the world. I've noticed that sometimes size is a little hard to judge, especially like in particular where I live. There are bears, so there are grizzly bears, there are black bears, and sometimes you can mistake a black bear for being small, but there are huge black bears out there, and there are little small ones, both adults. I don't know what the hell are they, different species, different types, I have no idea, but I have seen black bears that are bigger than a small car. But I've seen other black bears that are about the size of a large dog. I'm no bear expert, so don't come to me for bear advice. And then grizzly bears are just great, big, huge, scary things that freak me out. But anyway, I know from that it could be hard to judge the actual size of something until you get close. And I think that would be the thing. This would surprise you because, oh my god, it's actually a giant swan, right? Now, something I know about swans, and I think I would incorporate this, is swans. From what I've seen on YouTube, I've had no interactions with swans whatsoever, and And I may be confusing them with that other bird. What is it with the big thing? But I don't know. But anyway, it seems to me that the way swans operate is they like to grab a target and then they swallow it and they take off right away. That's all I've ever seen them do. Especially if there's more than one, because they want to get away with their food right away. So I think that that would be kind of a fun thing. Now, the fact they're in water means the heroes would have a movement penalty, probably. And then the swan's going to grab somebody, try and gulp it down, and try and fly away. So I think that that would be an opportunity to make an attack before the swan actually takes off with your buddy. But then if your buddy, if the hero inside the swan does manage to injure it and do 5 points of damage, the swan spits it out. I don't think I would inflict the 2 to 12 damage. I think I would just have the hero fall into the water. At which point, if they're in armor, they're going to have to try and take it off really fast. Going to have to lose stuff, get rid of weight as fast as they can, or face drowning. Yeah, I think that's how. I think I would keep all those sorts of things in mind when doing the giant crane. Oh, I'm calling it a swan. Okay, ignore all that. The giant crane. And no, I got the animal right. A crane. Yeah, they're the ones. They just swallow things and then they take off, right? So that's how I would do that one. So what's another one? Oh god, these are just so hilarious. Not sure how exactly I would use these. I just think that they're... I think it's great. That's one thing I really love about Hackmaster is the humor in it. So these are Direews, and an ewe is a sheep, I believe. Anyway, good enough, close enough. Looks like a sheep. So these things, they look like sheep. They hide in amongst the sheep. They eat the sheep, and then they eat the shepherd last. I think for a low-level adventure, this would be a lot of fun, trying to figure out what's eating the sheep, and you wouldn't know that this thing was hidden in there. Oh, how low-level adventure, actually. It's Hack Factor 5. That's pretty tough. Number appearing 1 to 4. Armor class 3. Number of attacks 2 to 5. Damage per attack 2 to 8. Yeah, this is a pretty tough creature. Where's the combat? Double ooze gain a surprise 7 and 10 times. Yeah, if they're among sheep, I imagine they would. The creature can create up to 5 mouths and tentacles that erupt from its body in all directions and attack. The creatures prefer to prey on helpless herd animals, but it will eat almost anyone if hungry. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm throwing this in my game. These guys are great. So, could you 5 mouths and tentacles that erupt from its body in all directions? So, yeah, that's great. So, you know, that's one thing I love about these books. Like I say, is that they've got real, and this is pretty much randomly picked out by me. I didn't pick out the best or anything. I just opened up and hey, I'll do this one. So, you know, you get a good idea. These are some really fun monsters. And if you take a little time and you think about how to creatively incorporate them into your world, I think that they're a lot of fun. Okay, so the next one is the giant dragonfly. One thing I like about this, I like the dragon horse too. He's pretty cool, but I'm not going to talk about that one. The dragonfly giant. This actually is a giant. Hack Factor 15. I mean, that's really tough, right? Alignment neutral. Armor class 3. Gets 1 attack, 4 to 16 damage. That's crazy. Plus 2 initiative bonus. Snatch and carry. So again, this is another monster that's going to grab heroes and take off with them. So I'll just go through the combat and tactics here quickly, and then I'll give some ideas how I might use these. Lacking in any intelligence to speak of a giant dragonfly, he is fearless in combat. When hunting, the giant firefly will attempt to... Giant dragonfly. Well, I'll have to learn how to read, so you have to excuse me. I have to learn how to read while I'm doing this. Will attempt to swoop down and carry off his chosen victim, biting the hapless soul as it flies away. Commonly called the snatch and carry, any giant dragonfly may attempt to grab and lift a victim off the ground with a successful 2-hit roll. Wow, that's easy benchmark. The victim can attempt to break hold of the giant dragonfly with a successful bend bars roll, or by inflicting 12 points of damage in one blow, or 24 hit points of damage in multiple blows, cleaving through the multiple legs. Once a giant dragonfly holds its victim, it will fly up out of combat and bite for +4 to hit, and vicious victim suffers -4 penalty to dexterity as well. If the giant dragonfly wins initiative while holding a victim, the victim cannot attack with any handheld weapons. Wow. Okay, this is a brutal little creature. So again, you know, I'm old. I'm going to date myself here, but I like the movie. I like the movie Heavy Metal from ages ago. But in that, I don't remember exactly. There was a lady riding on a giant, what I thought was a firefly or something like it. That's in my mind anyway. This has been a long time since I've watched that show. But again, that kind of like makes me think, you know, having giant fireflies as mounts would be really cool. Not necessarily for humans. What are the size of these things? Okay, so they're large. They're 12 feet long. Yeah, so not necessarily for humans. Maybe for elves. Maybe for the small elves, the short elves. Because I know some versions of D&D have the short elves. Some of the big, tall, you know, sort of Lord of the Rings kind of elves. But if I had smaller elves, then I might have them riding on giant dragonflies. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think a lot of fun, too, might be to sort of surprise characters. They're going to be, you know, like Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf decided to have the big eagle fly away with the party. It could be that the dragonfly swoop in, maybe the elves are riding them, and swoop in to save the players from a dire situation, or take the players off to a place to hire them for some kind of dungeon adventure, something like that. You know, with elves riding on the back of them. I think that would be a lot of fun. It says their ecology is in the swamp, but of course, once they've been tamed and they're used for riding, their ecology could be anywhere. So that's how I would use that. What's their armor class? It's got to be good. 3. Okay, so their armor class not that good. I actually had an encounter when I was out on the boat once with a firefly. It was pretty neat. It was flying along. It was very large. It must have had a wingspan of about 4.5 inches, I'd guess, 5 inches. And it hovered right in front of my face, and its little jaws opened, and I could actually see inside something that went snap, and it sounded so loud. It was like somebody. It was louder than a finger snap. I was really impressed by that. This little guy just had these incredibly powerful jaws. I realized how, you know, if you were a little small insect, dragonflies would be terrifying. They've got to be I get why they're called dragonflies now, because in the insect world, they would be like dragons. I mean, they look like dragons, right? They've got, you know, and this guy, he was pretty big, but those jaws, that was just, that was amazing. It was so loud. Like I say, louder than a good finger snap, which is really saying something. Anyway, that's the end of that. This is the Hackmaster, Hacklopedia of Beasts, Volume 2. Very fun, creative monsters, humorous, some of them, very scary, other ones. Of course, the cover artwork is absolutely fantastic. Lots of blood and gore on it, which I love. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a review of this. If you ever get a chance to pick it up, I would highly recommend it. Lots of little monsters to add to your campaign world. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos, and leave a thumbs up. And yeah, thanks for watching. I will talk to you next time.